Hey everyone, I'm Omar and welcome back to Generation Joe. If you love 80s cartoons and the classic toys they inspired, then you're in the right place. In this video, I'm showcasing my latest 1/6 scale Kitbash, Outback, the rugged survival expert of the Joe team. Outback is the kind of guy who can thrive in any environment, whether he's stranded behind enemy lines or deep in the wilderness with nothing but his wits and his gear. But before we get into the details, I need your help in deciding my next build. Should I take on Law and Order, the Joe team's military police officer and his canine partner? Or should I go for Road Pig, the oversized road warrior style enforcer from the Dreadnoks? Drop your vote in the comments below. Finding the right head sculpt for Outback was more of a challenge than I expected. There wasn't a sculpt that fit the bill for me looks-wise that already had the reddish hair. The sculpt I ended up using had dark brown hair, which meant I needed to repaint it to a more accurate reddish brown. I didn't go full bright orange like the original figure, which always felt a bit exaggerated. Instead, I opted for a more natural red-brown tone that stays true to Outback's iconic look while feeling more realistic. Repainting the hair can be a little bit tricky, especially when you're trying to preserve sculpted details. Using a dry brushing technique over a base color, I layered different shades of tan over red-brown to create the depth and texture while letting the fine details of the sculpt shine through. Finding the right body is important as well. Here I went with a Worldbox AT12 muscle body to give him the right amount of stature. Of course, it isn't Outback without his graphic t-shirt proudly displaying the word survival across the chest. To recreate it, I designed the survival text in Photoshop, printed it onto heat transfer paper, and ironed it onto a fitted 1/6 scale white t-shirt. The result is a faithful recreation of Outback's signature look. Outback's gear setup was one of the most important aspects of this build. I wanted to stay true to the original 1987 figure while ensuring everything felt functional and realistic for a modern survival expert. So here's what he's packing: a massive rucksack loaded with essential survival gear. If Outback's going to be operating solo in hostile terrain, he needs to be ready for anything, including a poncho for keeping dry and tactical shears for medical emergencies. A machete strapped to his pack, perfect for cutting through dense jungle brush or dealing with threats up close. An entrenching tool because you never know in the wild when you'll need to dig in. A flare gun, an essential tool for signaling rescue or distracting enemies. A satellite phone and a wrist-mounted GPS, a modern update that makes sense for a lone operator in the field. An angled flashlight, a direct nod to his original toy and possibly one of the most notoriously lost accessories in G.I.Joe history. Carabiners for scaling rock faces and plenty of storage for ammo mags, a Glock in a drop-down holster, and a survival knife strapped to his boot. Finally, his black combat boots, which are a stunningly realistic looking mix of materials that I've used on many customs. My main goal with his primary weapon was to closely approximate the silhouette of the original 3 3/4 inch figure's rifle, which is a fictional design. So I gave my Outback a SIG LVAW or low visibility assault weapon, outfitted with a folding stock and sling just like the OG, a scope for long range accuracy with a flipped aside mount behind a red dot sight for quicker target acquisition, a flashlight for night operations, and a laser targeter for precision distance shooting mounted on either side of the suppressed barrel. And locked in the magwell, a 40 round capacity magazine that helps sell the more forward facing angle of the original toy's ammo mag. As usual, the figure is finished off by a stunning and large custom figure base from Display Heroes on Etsy. Together with the right pose, it really conveys the feeling of Outback climbing into a wooded mountainside on a long trek. So this is how Outback stacks up on my 3-part rating system. Ease of build, I give it a 6 out of 10. This Kitbash required a bit more effort than usual. The head sculpt repainting takes some precision, and creating the shirt graphic requires a little bit of Photoshop knowledge and careful application of a heat transfer design. Not the hardest build, but not a quick one either. For expense, I give it a 4 out of 10. Nothing here is outrageously expensive. The Worldbox muscle body and the LVAW might be the priciest components, but most of the gear is relatively easy to source and won't break the bank. For satisfaction, I give this a 9 out of 10. This Kitbash turned out fantastic. The combination of classic G.I.Joe aesthetics and real world survival gear makes this one of my favorite builds yet. As for sourcing parts, I've included as many affiliate links as possible in the description below. Some accessories may be harder to track down, but I've listed everything you'll need to build your own 1/6 scale Outback. If you too are a member of the Joe generation, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you'll never miss an episode of Generation Joe. Now it's your turn to decide my next project. Should I tackle Law and Order, the Joe team's military police officer and his K9 partner? Or should I build Road Pig, the dreadnought enforcer who takes brute force to a whole new level? Let me know. See you next time.